is a man in the corner of the inn, hood up, pipe lit, a traveler's mud still drying on his boots. The other patrons barely notice him, and that is exactly how he wants it. Because the quiet man in the shadows is the rightful heir to a kingdom. He could stand up and demand a crown. Instead, he watches the door and keeps his name to himself. Mark that. The first thing a true king does is choose to be no one. They call him Strider, a wanderer's nickname, half an insult really. The folk of the villages do not trust the ranger who comes in from the wild. They do not know his true name. They do not know that for years he has walked the dark roads around their homes, turning back the things that hunt in the night. He guards people who fear him. He keeps a peace no one thanks him for. No banner, no reward, just the work. This is the shape of real service. You protect them, whether or not they ever learn your name. Here is the part that is hard to understand. He could take it. The blood of kings runs in him. The throne is his by right of birth. He has only to reach out. But he does not reach. He waits, because he knows what most men forget. The right to rule is not the same as the readiness to rule. A crown grasped too soon is just another kind of greed. So he carries the weight before anyone hands him the authority. He proves himself in the dark, where no one is watching. That refusal to seize, that is the first true mark of a king. Some men inherit a name. This one inherited a broken sword, the blade of his father's, snapped in the hand of a king who reached for power and could not let it go. That failure was not his. He was not yet born when it happened, but he carried the shards anyway, wrapped in cloth, kept close. A man can run from his family's story, or he can pick it up off the ground. He picked it up. He looked at the broken edge, and he did not pretend it was whole. He simply decided, with his whole life, this is mine to mend. He could have stayed hidden, a long life in the wild, no throne, no expectation. No one would have blamed him. But there was a road that led toward the danger, toward the thing every wise man feared, and he chose it. Mark this. Strength is rarely loud. Most days it is just a man turning his horse toward the storm while the world rides the other way. He did not walk toward greatness. He walked toward the burden. The crown would come later. The choice came first. Then the shards went into the fire. Hammer and flame. Old steel made new. Not a different sword, but the same one, whole again. And when he took it up, it was not to conquer. It was a promise. To finish what his fathers could not. To stand where his blood once failed. And this time, hold. That is what it means to carry a broken legacy. You do not deny the break. You do not drown in it. You put it in the fire, and you make it mean something. Your father's failure is not your verdict. It is your work. Take up the blade. Be the one who finishes it. We saw him slip away from the inn. Now follow him out into the country he protects. He sleeps in the wild. He eats cold. For years he has walked the edges of quiet farmland, where families raise their children in peace. They have never seen his face by daylight, and still, every night, he turns back toward the dark. He stands watch over the very people who would never let him through their door. That is not weakness. That is a man who has decided the work matters more than the credit. Then comes the night it is tested. On an old hill, ruined and cold, a handful of frightened travelers huddle around a small fire. They are not soldiers. They are not strong. And out of the dark, the enemy comes for them. The man does not call for help. He does not count the odds. He steps forward. One blade, one torch. He plants himself between the weak and the thing that hunts them, and he makes his own body the wall. If death wants them, it comes through him first. That is the whole of his plan. Not to win clever, just to stand in the gap and not move. He takes the wound meant for them. He bleeds in a place no song will ever name. And here is the thing, young man. No one is watching. No crowd, no crown, no one to carry the story home. He could turn and walk away tonight, and no one would ever know he failed them. He stays anyway. That is the kind of strength that matters most. The good a man does when no one is keeping score. Virtue that needs no audience. That is the truest kind there is. There is a road no one will walk. A passage under the mountain where the dead are said to keep watch. Strong men turn back at the entrance. Brave men go pale at the name of it. He could ride around. He could take the safer way and arrive too late. But too late means a city falls. Too late means children he will never meet are lost. So he turns his horse toward the dark. Not because he is unafraid, because someone is counting on him to be there. That is how a real man measures a road, not by what it costs him, by who needs him at the end of it. Listen close, because the world will lie to you about courage. It will tell you the brave feel nothing, that the strong man walks into the dark with a steady heart and no fear at all. That is a child's story. His hand is tight on the hilt. His breath is short. The whispers crowd in around him, and he is afraid. And he goes anyway. That is the whole of it. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is fear, told to stand down, because there is a duty larger than your own comfort. Feel the dread, then take the next step. In that dark he finds an army of the disgraced, men who broke an oath long ago and were cursed to wander, unforgiven, unfit, the kind the world has written off for good. A lesser leader walks past them. What use are the broken? But he calls them up out of the shadow. He offers them the one thing they had lost, a chance to make it right. Follow me, he tells them, and be free. And they come. Remember this. A small man builds his strength on who he can throw away. A true one is known by who he is willing to lift. That is what a king is for. Picture a man who decides to lose on purpose. The war is all but over. He has a handful of soldiers, worn, outnumbered past counting, and he marches them straight to the enemy's black gate. Not to break it. He knows he cannot. He goes to be seen, to make the great eye turn his way, so it looks at him, and not at the two small figures crawling through the ash behind it. He is bait. He chose to be bait. That is the gamble. Spend everything you have, loudly, so the real hope can move unseen. Here is the hard part. The thing that actually matters is not in his hands. It never was. The whole war turns on a small, weak friend he cannot see, cannot help, cannot save. All he can do is buy him minutes. So he spends his own strength like a man emptying his pockets for a stranger. Every sword he raises is a minute bought. Every breath his men still draw is a step his friend takes unwatched. And no one, on that far road, will ever know the cost. That is the purest strength a man can spend, the kind that takes no credit, the kind that may never be thanked. You hold the line so someone smaller can finish what you started, and you make your peace with never seeing the end. Then, the trap closes. They are surrounded. There is no rescue coming. By every honest count, this is where he dies. Watch what a real leader does in that moment. He does not rage. He does not run. He steadies. He looks down the line at frightened men and gives them a reason to stand one more hour. Because despair is the easy thing. Despair asks nothing of you. To stand when hope is gone, that is the last test and the truest one. Anyone can be brave when they think they will win. The man worth following is the one who holds the line, believing he will not. Here is the moment the whole long road was bending toward. The crown comes to him at last. The city stands and waits to bow, and the first thing the king does is bend the knee himself. He turns to the small ones, the little folk who carried the worst of it through fire and dark, the ones no song had named yet, and he tells them they bow to no one. Then he bows to them. Mark that. Before a single soul honored him, he honored the overlooked. The crown did not make him great. It simply found him already kneeling. There is an old saying in that land. The hands of the king are the hands of a healer. So that is where he goes first. Not to the throne, to the houses of the wounded, to the fevered, the broken, the ones the battle nearly took. He kneels at their bedsides and calls them back from the dark, one name at a time. Think on that. He had armies behind his word now, and he spent his power first on the dying. A man who could command anything chose to mend. That is what the crown is for. Not to rule men, to restore them. So this is what the whole road was teaching. He ruled the same way he had served, quietly, for others, carrying the weight, not handing it down. The crown was never a reward. It was the last and heaviest burden, given to the one already used to bearing them. Young man, hear this. Real strength does not rise above people. It gets underneath them and lifts. Serve long before anyone thinks to crown you, and if the day ever comes that they do, you will already know what it is for.